When we look closely, pleasure and peace operate on completely different frequencies of the mind. Pleasure is stimulation. It excites the senses, lights up the nervous system, and pulls our attention outward. It depends on something happening. A taste, a sound, a compliment, an achievement, a distraction. Because it is fueled by change, it rises quickly and falls just as fast. One moment it feels satisfying, and the next moment the mind is already searching again. That is the nature of stimulation. It cannot stay still, and it cannot make us still. Peace is different. Peace is stillness. It does not come from adding something to the moment, but from settling into the moment as it already is. When the mind stops chasing, comparing, and evaluating, a quiet space opens. In that space, nothing needs to happen for us to feel okay. There is no rush to improve the experience, no urgency to escape it. Peace feels less like excitement and more like grounding. It is the difference between being pulled by every sound and simply hearing. The difference between reacting and resting. Buddhism teaches that when the mind is constantly stimulated, it becomes restless. Restlessness feels alive, but it is not free. Stillness, on the other hand, may seem simple, but it is powerful. It is the state in which clarity, compassion, and insight naturally arise. When we stop feeding the craving for stimulation, we begin to discover the quiet strength of peace. Asterisk pleasure depends on conditions. It needs the world to line up in a certain way for us to feel good. We need the right people to approve of us, the right experiences to entertain us, the right outcomes to reassure us. When those conditions change, and they always do, pleasure weakens or disappears. The mind then feels disappointed, irritated, or empty. This is why pleasure often comes with anxiety underneath it. We are afraid of losing what feels good because we know, even if quietly, that it is not in our control. Peace does not depend on conditions. It arises from awareness. When we learn to observe our thoughts, emotions, and sensations without immediately trying to fix them or run from them, a deeper stability begins to form. We are no longer waiting for life to behave a certain way before we allow ourselves to be okay. Instead, we bring a gentle acceptance to whatever is here. This does not mean we stop caring or stop improving our lives. It means we stop arguing with reality in every moment. In Buddhism, this is the practice of equanimity. It is the ability to stay present with pleasure without clinging and with pain without collapsing. When awareness replaces resistance, the mind relaxes. And when the mind relaxes, peace naturally appears. Not because everything is perfect, but because we are no longer demanding that it be. Asterisk, when we chase pleasure, we unknowingly train the mind to crave. Each time we get something that feels good, the mind learns a subtle message. More of this will make me happy. But because pleasure is temporary, the satisfaction fades and the craving returns even stronger. This creates a cycle. Wanting leads to getting, getting leads to fading, and fading leads back to wanting. Over time, the mind becomes restless, always leaning into the future, rarely at ease in the present. Even during enjoyable moments, part of us is already worried about what comes next. Buddhism calls this tanha, or thirst. It is not just the desire for things, but the habit of needing life to feel a certain way for us to feel okay. The more we feed this habit, the more it grows. We become less tolerant of boredom, silence, or discomfort. We start to escape rather than stay. We distract rather than understand. Cultivating peace works in the opposite direction. Instead of chasing, we begin to observe. Instead of reacting, we learn to pause. When we sit with an uncomfortable feeling without trying to immediately fix it, something surprising happens. The feeling changes on its own. It softens. The mind realizes it does not have to run. In that realization, restlessness begins to dissolve, and in its place, a quiet, steady ease starts to take root. Asterisk pleasure is tied to time. It appears, peaks, and fades. No matter how intense or beautiful a pleasurable experience is, it cannot stay. The mind may replay it, chase it, or try to recreate it, but the actual feeling itself is already gone. This is why, after something exciting ends, there is often a subtle drop inside us, a kind of emotional echo. We realize that what lifted us a moment ago can no longer hold us now. In Buddhism, this is the truth of impermanence. Everything that arises also passes. Peace relates to time in a very different way. It does not depend on the future or the past. It lives in presence. When we are fully here, not lost in memory, and not anxious about what's coming next, peace has space to grow. It deepens not because life becomes more exciting, but because our relationship with life becomes more honest. We stop demanding that every moment entertain us, and we start allowing each moment to teach us. With practice, peace becomes less fragile. While pleasure fades with change, peace strengthens with understanding. The more we learn to stay present through both joy and difficulty, the more rooted we become. It is like building depth instead of height. Height looks impressive, but depth is what holds steady. Over time, presence turns into stability, and stability becomes peace. Buddhism offers a radical and gentle insight. Freedom is not found in getting more, but in needing less. Most of our stress comes from the feeling that something is missing. We think we need more success, more approval, more comfort, more certainty before we can relax. The mind is always adding conditions to happiness. When I have this, then I will be okay. But as soon as one desire is fulfilled, another takes its place. The finish line keeps moving. The Buddha saw that this constant reaching is what keeps us trapped, not trapped by the world, but by our own expectations of it. When we simplify the mind, when we stop piling wants on top of wants, a deep sense of relief begins to appear. We realize that we don't need to control every outcome to feel at ease. We don't need to win every situation to feel whole. Needing less does not mean becoming passive or unmotivated. It means becoming free from compulsive wanting. We still act, still care, still grow, but we do so from clarity instead of craving. When desire loosens its grip, contentment naturally arises. And in that contentment, there is a quiet joy that does not depend on getting anything at all.